Grief takes its final rest, which can be interrupted in a moment of relapse, serving to remind that this song has been played and we are on to green pastures with memory intact that what was will always be, grief and or no grief. I'll see you again under different circumstances. And though your face may change, I will know you. Of this I am certain. Isn't that the point? This is where I bid farewell to an old friend who has accompanied me but can go no further into the light with me. I celebrate the loss and embrace this new normal by picking up the shards, placing them in a neat pile, and thus watching them disintegrate into liquid matter, its pre-gaseous state, where the beauty of oblivion awaits me. We part ways and remain true in that place where we combusted, and brilliance filled the blinding precipice with peace. I look grief in the face with no curiosity or desire to delve deeper, and no further questions, Your Honor, is all that I can muster as we sat on that bench looking while another saw. This is a new place. Stillness brews within me as I realize our relationship has changed. As we engage in the face-off, the trial commences with tears streaming down the face of misperception. Grieving and sorrow have their place, as what they progress into is the result of how one saw in the frame in which they were presented. I am resolved in the reality that what was given to the brilliant death of me is a perfect picture of revivification. I am neither seeking to be sold nor needing to buy. Verse 12 says, I am resolved in the reality that what was given to the brilliant death of me is a perfect picture of revivification. Webster identifies revivification as a noun, a fixed object of the action of reviving. Revive is defined as a verb meaning to bring back or return to life, consciousness, or activity. To bring back or return to life, consciousness, or activity. To make or become fresh, strong again. Let me repeat that. To bring back or return to life, consciousness, or activity. Make or become fresh or strong again. And it is also defined as meaning to bring back into use. Words that are synonymous with the word revive are reanimate, reanimate, regenerate, reinvigorate, rejuvenate, renew, resuscitate, revitalize, also reactivate, restart, to come around, come round, come to, and more at come to. What was once unconscious, now conscious. What was once unconscious, now conscious. And it occurred through the brilliant death of me. I am resolved in that reality. The subject matters that stand out in these verses are, to me, grief, shards, disintegrate in relationship to liquid matter and pregaseous state, combust, combusted, combustion, precipice, face off, misperception, a comparison between grieving and sorrow, and what it means to be resolved in the reality. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, revivification. There is a line in Access Granted that says, to revivify one who's lost their way but not their hope. To annihilate prostitution, alcoholism, and dope. To revivify one who's lost their way but not their hope. To revivify one who's lost their way but not their hope. To bring back or return to life, consciousness, or activity. What once seemed hopeless or lost, now found, now conscious, now resurrected. I am resolved in the reality that what was given to the brilliant death of me is a perfect picture of revivification. So let us now go back and reread or rehear verses 1 through 13 of chapter 3 in the context of revivification. That's something that was lost, or that appeared lost or unconscious is now conscious, is now made active or brought back or returned to life. So as we're listening to the verses, let us bear in mind that it's all about the restoral of consciousness, of life, of coming back to ourselves. Verse 1 says, grief takes its final rest, which can be interrupted in a moment of relapse, serving to remind that this song has been played and we are on to green pastures with memory intact that what was will always be, grief and or no grief. So irregardless of a relapse or a remix, if you will, we understand, see, and know that we are on to green pastures and that what we experienced, what we observed in the struggle with grief at this particular juncture has served to bring us to this place of revivification of consciousness. Verse 2, I'll see you again under different circumstances, and though your face may change, I will know you. Of this I am certain. This is the beauty of the experience, be it adverse or otherwise. This is the beauty of it, that we become familiar with the face, with the underlying original face, so that as the faces change, we remain resolved in the reality of what it is. So that although grief is taking its final resting place at this juncture, there are things that can occur that will resurrect it, if you will. But because we have allowed ourselves to be immersed, be exposed to experience and observe it in all of its facets, in this particular experience, we are prepared to see it again. And when we do, what has served us in this place will serve us the more in that place anew. Verse 3, isn't that the point? Isn't that what this is all about? It's not to make us unhappy or sad or disappointed or angry or excited or happy or joyous or blissful. That it's about this, isn't it? Isn't this what it's about? It's about seeing and seeing again, about knowing and being known again, about being asleep and becoming awake. Isn't that the point? Isn't that what all of this is about? Can we see that maybe this is what it's all about? That we go through these different realms of reality and experience and observation to come to this place of revivification, of consciousness, of awakening, of restoral of renewal. Verse 4. This is where I bid farewell to an old friend who has accompanied me but can go no further into the light with me. Recognizing that I know the face of grief, even though it may have changed in this particular moment, I recognize and am very familiar with its presence with me. But I also know that this is where we part ways. That this place is where I take the essence of grief with me, the truth of grief with me, and continue on into consciousness, into awakening, into life. Verse 5, I celebrate the loss and embrace this new normal by picking up the shards, placing them in a neat pile, thus watching them disintegrate into liquid matter, its pre-gaseous state where the beauty of oblivion awaits me. What stands out to me there is it disintegrates into liquid. Water is life. Water is life. That what caused death brought life. And that life collects the remnants, the shards, and places them in a neat pile and watches them disintegrate. To a place where the beauty of oblivion awaits me. Me in my revivified place. Verse 6, we part ways and remain true in that place where we combusted and brilliance filled the blinding precipice with peace. So we're parting ways. We recognize, we are in agreement. We recognize that this is where we go our separate ways. And we remain true in that space where everything converged into one and the combustion occurred. And simultaneously, what was voided, brilliance filled with a peace beyond human understanding as we resurrect to life from death. Verse 7, I look grief in the face with no curiosity or desire to delve deeper, and no further questions, Your Honor, is all that I can muster as we sat on that bench looking while another saw. It's almost like in my mind's eye I can see the bench in the courtroom and where the defendants stand before the judge and make their case. And or the attorneys stand and who are defending or representing the parties make their case before the judge. And that when they're done presenting all of their evidence and what have you, that when they come to the end of their summation, no further questions, Your Honor. And I'm reminded now that even when they're questioning the other party, no further questions, Your Honor, is what they say. When someone is sitting on that stand, the witness stand, and they are being questioned, when the attorney or the one questioning, I'll say the examiner, is finished, they say, no further questions, Your Honor. And here I'm looking grief in the face on the bench. and having no desire or curiosity to go any further, questioning, examining grief. No further questions, Your Honor, is all that I can muster. And it says that we settle that bench. It doesn't say that grief is sitting alone or I'm sitting alone. We sat on that bench looking while another saw. And how many of us know that there are two functionalities to sight? There is a looking and there is a seeing. Verse 8, this is a new place. This way of dealing or engaging or relating or being with grief is a new place for me, for us. If any man be awake, he's no longer asleep. If any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things and ways of doing things are passed away. Behold, all things become new. No further questions, Your Honor. This is a new place. Verse 9, stillness brews within me as I realize our relationship has changed. Enough said. All the questioning has gone on, all the um, misperceptions have gone on, all the quarreling has gone on, all the conflict has gone on, all the love fest has gone on, all the partying has gone on, all the being has gone on, and we're in a new place now with all these things having occurred. Um, I realize our relationship has changed, and it's like all those things kind of just dissipate, disintegrate, and stillness abounds within me. Where once there was chaos and confusion, there is peace in this new place, in this awakened place, in my conscious state, in my revived place. Verse 10, as we engage in the face-off, the trial commences with tears streaming down the face of misperception. As we engage in the face-off, and let's see what Webster defines. That's kind of standing out to me at the moment. As we engage in the face-off. Face-off is defined as a method of beginning play by dropping a ball or puck, as in hockey, between two opposing players, each of whom attempts to control it. The clashing of forces or ideas, confrontation. And synonyms for this word are battle, combat, conflict, confrontation, contest, duel, rivalry, struggle, more at contest. And as a verb showing action, it means to be or come into opposition or competition. To battle, compete, contend, fight, race, vie. More at compete. So as we engage in the competition, in the questioning, the trial commences. As we engage in competition, the trial begins with tears streaming down the face of misperception, because it's not what it seems. It's like if you only had eyes to see what this really is. Wow. As we engage in the face-off, the trial commences with tears streaming down the face of misperception, if they only knew. And all of this is leading us to this place of renewal of consciousness because we're unaware, but we're coming into as we question, as we examine, while misperception recognizes what we have yet to see, but we'll see. Verse 11, grieving and sorrow have their place as what they progress into is the result of how one saw in the frame in which they were presented. Grieving and sorrow have their place in this process of revivification, in this moment of revivification, of coming into consciousness, of awakening, of renewing. Grieving and sorrow have their place. Now that's interesting to me. What stands out is grieving is showing an action, and sorrow is a noun depicting something. And they both have their place as what they come into is the result of how one saw. Here we are back to misperception with tears streaming down its face, because it's about how you see. It's about how I see how something is presented to us that determines the outcome or our response or our takeaway from the face off, if you will. That is progressing us, that is leading us, that is guiding us steadily back to what we already are. Verse 12, I am resolved in the reality that what was given to the brilliant death of me is a perfect picture of revivification. I'm resolved in the reality. I am settled. I am resolute in the reality, in the actualization that what has occurred, that what has been destroyed, what is reconstructed or constructed in its place is a perfect picture of life. And verse 13, I am neither seeking to be sold nor needing to buy. It is in coming to this place where nothing else matters, where we've done that dance with comparing ourselves to this thing or that thing, where we've questioned beyond questioning, and even after having the answers, question the answers, and we still come up with this thing. And it's realizing that the more we question, the more we do, the more we compete, the more we strive, the more we see, the more we go, the more we do, that there is something that remains resolute in the midst of all of this. And it's when we see that, it's when we settle in that, that we can, no further questions, Your Honor, that we can wipe the tears off the face of misperception as we see what it is we already know. I have come that you might have life, and that life more abundantly. I am resolved in the reality that what was given, that life that was given to the brilliant death of me, is a perfect picture of revivification, of new life. So if you will, take the time and go back or go and define the words grief, shards, disintegrate in relation to liquid matter and pre-gaseous state, the word combust and the past tense form, ed, combusted, precipice. And I'm reminded of a time in the Middle East when we were standing um, at the place where um, uh, at a precipice. Let me just say that we were standing at a place that would be called a precipice, and it just, when I look at that word, it reminds me of standing at that place and that wide gap and that sharp drop of standing at that precipice. I can still see it in my mind's eye. Precipice. Okay, next word, face off. We kind of went through that, but still, let yourself go through it. I think it's important that um, we all allow ourselves our own experience. That it's not enough, or it's not the work of simply hearing. It's also doing. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word. That a faith is an action. That faith without works, they're dead. That it's not enough to just sit here and hear and just take notes. Let's wipe the slate clean. After this is done, let's wipe the slate clean, and you go back and read um, verses 1 through 13 of chapter 3 in the Reformation of a Nation. And you um, take out your paper and you write number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 items down for your individual study. And you will be amazed at what you get out of that. Because what we will come to see and remember as we progress through these exercises is that we all have an understanding. We all have a way of seeing and being. And it's all true. And it's all necessary. And that there is a common thread of life that bores through all of the fabrics of our understandings. And it weaves this beautiful tapestry of life, of revivification, of light that both warms and leads as we go our separate ways. Okay, we were at precipice. The next word is face off. Then comes misperception. And then a comparison between grieving and sorrow. What it means to you to be resolved in the reality. What does that mean to you? And then the word revivification. So as you're going through these 10 individual exercises, if you find yourself a thought comes to you, jot it down over on another piece of paper or book that you're keeping just for your thoughts and your impressions. And at the end, just kind of do a summary of what you come away with this. What takeaway do you get after doing this exercise with yourself? Um, Separate from what we engaged in here, because you got some things that came to you even as I was speaking, and those things are for you, and they're very true. And so whatever came to you, even if it seems like it's off course or in left field, it's in center field for you. And so you can take that and keep that and let everything else fall away. Because what I do know is what we're meant to know, we know. And what seems forgotten is remembered. And so we don't need to hold on to anything. So please, if you don't do anything else, once you're done listening, hearing here, wipe the slate clean. Give it some time away and go back and do that exercise like you never had never heard these verses or heard any type of dialogue about the verses. And let's see what we come away with. I am resolved in the reality that what was given to the brilliant death of me is a perfect picture of revivification. I look grief in the face with no curiosity or desire to delve deeper, and no further questions, Your Honor, is all that I can muster as we sat on that bench looking while another saw. I'll see you again under different circumstances, and though your face may change, I will know you. Of this I am certain. Isn't that the point? So this is where I bid farewell to an old friend who has accompanied me, but can go no further into the light with me. I am neither seeking to be sold nor needing to buy. Be light, be love, be free. Until